Hello everybody and welcome to the stats and roundup of the Gauntlet. If you don't know what the Gauntlet was, oh boy, do you have a series of videos for you to watch. I actually think I described it on the next slide here. But basically, I made a challenge. I took a challenge from one of our viewers, was to try to play every campaign, every full campaign, so not including Night of the Zealot, because to me that's not a full campaign, with one collection, up to Scarlet Keys, which was the campaign that released at the time that the Gauntlet started. So I had to build 18 decks with one collection, and I needed to, play and try to win as best as I could with the limitations that the challenge provided. And if you don't know anything about me and Arkham, I love challenges. There's not much that I love playing Arkham still, but a lot of the times what moves the needle for me is restricting or changing the card pool in a way that is intriguing to me. While I still enjoy playing that, playing free-for-all and just doing what I want to do, it's one of those things where I really want to stretch the card pool in a way and see if I can still find victory. To me, that is really fun. And spoiler alert, if you're watching on YouTube, there might be a Gauntlet 2 coming up this week. People on Twitch already know that this is happening, but there might be a Gauntlet 2 coming up this week, so get ready for that. However, we have some stuff that we can look at, and the first thing we ought to do is, did we end up winning the challenge? Can you really win a challenge? The answer is yes, you can win a challenge, and let's see if I did. So, the first thing we're going to look at here is campaign wins versus campaign losses. So I had 5 wins and 3 losses, so we walked away with a 62, 63 rounding up win rate. Well, obviously higher would have been nicer. I personally think that anything above 50% is a win. So I'm going to crown myself as a winner of this challenge. But, however, I want to also look at these stats with a little bit more in depth. And what I think it really comes down to is that I actually do, after playing this, I do legitimately think that the earlier campaigns are harder than the later campaigns. And I always thought that Dunwich Legacy was actually pretty easy. I also always thought that Carcosa was actually pretty easy. And while I don't think that they are on the level of, say, the Forgotten Age or even the Circle Undone, I do think that they are harder in a way that has kind of been, how can I put this in a nice way, has kind of been complained out of the game, if that makes sense, right? The enemies are tough. The enemies just don't give a crap about you and your deck. They punish you for certain decisions. They can completely just encounter cards can just absolutely nutter you. And they're also not afraid to cause you to get eliminated. And by eliminated, I mean lose the campaign. In all of these losses, we did get to the final scenario. But we were just overwhelmed. And just you wait, everybody, until you see the investigators that actually lost in the Gauntlet compared to the investigators that won the Gauntlet. Because I took the strongest investigators and I actually started them in the earlier campaigns, but they were still defeated. And I think that's just because the earlier campaigns, while yes, can be easier, I think that they also just pull punches less. I think in the newer campaigns, they're just this is my theory. It's kind of just designed to be a little bit too smooth. Right? And I actually also see this in custom campaigns. And maybe I'm also a reason that this happens. I'm not going to pretend that, I'm not. But I get an encounter card and I'm this encounter card is mean. I don't like it. And I think that encounter cards should be punishing. They should make you hurt. But I think that the numbers on them should be reasonable. I think that's what it comes down to, right? I don't think that I think that the numbers in Dunwich or Carcosa or Forgotten Age are higher apart from enemy health. I think enemy health was higher in Dunwich Legacy compared to some of the other stuff that we've seen now. But I just think that the effects themselves are kinder, if that makes sense. And it also, you could say that you get less experience. I think less experience can also certainly be a part of it. I know I'm taking this Gauntlet stat video to kind of soapbox a little bit right now about campaign difficulty. However, I am seeing this information and I'm, positing from this information. So this is like the chance to do this in. And I just think that this is really interesting. And it is, a lot of it comes down to that that's actually, so this is great 2 points. I'm recording this on Twitch, so I'm going to be bouncing off chat. So D-Scar Pack, you can tank failing treacheries in the later campaigns a lot easier. I agree. This is actually something where I recently was talking about on my stream last week about how Ward of Protection, I think, has gone down in value in earlier campaigns because generally player cards have gotten stronger in other ways and treacheries have gotten weaker. There is no Beyond the Veil in later campaigns, And I think that's actually probably a bad thing. I like Beyond the Veil because the card, while it's never actually killed me, the threat of it changes how I play the game. Likewise, a card that we often talk about as I think one of the best treacheries is Spires of Carcosa, because it sometimes makes you have to do things that your deck is not built for. Likewise, Conglomeration of Spheres. I hate the enemy, but that's because I'm a fucking idiot who always plays melee weapons, right? And then also on what Asu Dunsparce is saying, Failed Forward disappeared. Fail Forward also disappeared, and I miss it. And while I think that the new campaigns are still really good, I like Innsmouth, I like Edge of the Earth, I'm still learning Scarlet Keys. The difficulty, I think, has kind of dropped, and as we can kind of see with this. However, I'm curious to see how this goes with the Gauntlet 2 coming up. But this was my win rate. I lost the first 3 and then won the final 5. Next stat we got to look at here is class breakdown. So, I played 3 Guardians with 2 wins and 1 loss. So, 66% win rate. I played 4 Seekers with 2 wins and 2 losses. 50% win rate. Good job, Seekers. You just made it. I played 3 Rogues with 1 win and 2 losses. So a 33% win rate on the Rogues. Pretty embarrassing for them. However, I played 4 Mystics who got 4 wins with a 100% win rate. A little asterisks on the Mystics. One of them was Lily Chen. So, she's a Mystic, but I think she should also be counted up with the Guardians up there, right? She upgrades into a Guardian. So, let's talk about that. But I really find it funny with the Mystics that they're my least favorite class to play in two-handed solo. But I had the highest win rate with them. However, they were played in, obviously, the later campaigns where things got a lot easier because I knew there needed to be more time for them to, there needed to be less of a boot on their throat in order to get it done. Likewise, my Rogues, 2 of the losses were in the earlier scenarios where things were a little bit harder. And I played 4 Survivors with 3 wins and 1 loss. 75% win rate. I'm not surprised on that. Survivors are very good. I play Survivors the most. It's the play style that I am the most comfortable with. And I think that also it's the play style that does the best with restrictions on their decks and all that. Let's keep this going to the next one we got here, which is the winning and losing Investigator breakdown. So, we won with Daryl Simmons. We won with Dexter Drake, Finn Edwards, Gloria Goldberg, Jacqueline Fine, Leo Anderson, Lily Chen, Mark Harrigan, Minty Fan, Rex Murphy, Rita Young, and Stella Clark. However, we lost with some absolute bangers of Investigators. Daisy Walker, Harvey Walters, Nathaniel Cho, Silas Marsh is there too, Tony Morgan, and Trish Scarborough. We can all agree that those Investigators are freaking strong investigators. I know that in probably the Arkham community as a whole, I underrate Daisy Walker. I think I give her like an A plus or like an A. I'm not sure. But I respect the people who give Daisy a higher rating because I don't disagree with them as like Daisy as a whole, but just how I view them, Daisy is lower. But all these other investigators, I think, are like universally, except for like maybe Silas, very, very powerful investigators. So going back, if we can remember just a few slides ago, if we look at the 3 campaigns that lost in, Dunwich Legacy, Carcosa, and Forgotten Age. Forgotten Age did have some stuff working against it, as we're going to see coming up in the near future. However, Daisy and Tony lost Dunwich. Harvey and Nathaniel Cho lost Carcosa. So these are like good investigators who are like limited collection, yes. So there's all these stipulations for it. But if you look at the newer campaigns, these other investigators, like, you know, I think, like, actually looking at this list, Rita Young is probably the only investigator on this list that I wouldn't, and probably Leo, that I wouldn't consider to be, like, super powerful investigators. I think Leo and Rita are good investigators, but I don't think they're particularly super powerful. Notably, Leo actually was in Innsmouth as well, which is not, like, a easy... It's on the easier side, but it's not like an easy campaign. Not like compared to Rita, who did this through Dream Eaters, which I think is an actual pretty easy campaign. Yeah, we did also get all the flashbacks, didn't we? We did in that one, didn't we? But I just thought this was crazy, right? Because this loss list is just like absolutely wild to me. But let's keep this going. Total XP earned per campaign. Wow. So this is between both decks. This is counting both all the investigators in it. So that's why like Dream Eaters is so high. But if you do 120 divided by 4, you get 30 XP per deck. Edge of the Earth, notably, is 101 experience because Jacqueline Fine had... she had... what am I trying to say? She had all the mystic assets, all the XP. She had two arcane researches and one down the rabbit hole. So that's why Edge of the Earth is as high as it is. And we also see that we earned 619 experience throughout the entire gauntlet. I wanted to look at Dunwich because Dunwich is normally a low XP earning scenario, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm just pulling up the decks right now, Daisy probably had Delve 2 Deeps. Daisy probably had, she had 2 Delve 2 Deeps, and we also actually, in Tony, had Let God Sort Them Out, which meant that by the time that they, there was some bonus XP in it, so that's why Dunwich Legacy is as high as it is. I did game it a bit, with a total of 37 for Tony and 35 for Daisy. There's 101X. No, as I said, with Edge of the Earth, this is just the XP that were in the decks at the end of it. So that's like the only way that you can count. I can count it. I didn't go through and actually look at the resolutions that I got. But this was the, with Jacqueline Fine and her Down the Rabbit Hole and Arcane Research. So she boosted that quite a bit higher. If we look at, here, I can actually pull up the numbers too. I got that. So Finn had 38 experience and Jacqueline had 63 experience. So a big jump between the two of them, which artificially inflates the Edge of the Earth score. Circle Undone is notably lower because we won early in the campaign. We won it for... we won on Scenario 6, so that's why it's notably lower, on the lower side compared to some of the other ones. Scarlet Keys, I think as well, is just a lower earning XP campaign. It can be, depending on the route that you take. Alright, let's keep this going. Total trauma earned from each campaign between all investigators. This one I found really fun to see and crack this nut. Dunwich Legacy was 2 physical, 2 mental. Path to Carcosa, 0 physical, just a casual 7 mental trauma between the 2 investigators, which is like pretty cool. Forgotten Age, 4 physical, 1 mental trauma. Honestly, not bad, probably, all things considered. Again, remember that not all of these decks had In the Thick of It, because only 1 deck was able to run In the Thick of It. Circle Undone, 0 physical, 0 mental. And they say it was hard. And they say it's hard, but apparently we just like breeze our way through it, no problem. Dream Eaters, 0 physical, 0 mental. Checks out. Innsmouth, we have 1 physical and 2 mental trauma. Edge of the Earth, 0 physical and 3 mental trauma. Okay, so this is crazy. Okay, we're going to look at this. I want to look at this Jacqueline Fine deck again, all right? Because I think Jacqueline Fine also had, yes, so Jacqueline Fine had 2 arcane researches and 1 In the Thick of It. So Jacqueline Fine actually started with 4 mental trauma. However, throughout the entire campaign, I'm pretty sure we healed Jacqueline down to like 1 or 2 mental trauma. So she actually got better as she spent her expedition down south. How do you win Circle Undone in Scenario 6? I'm going to say this as spoiler-free as possible. There's just that you can get an early win, and it is by siding with the Lodge. You gotta just team up with the Lodge, and you can get there. So that's what I really like about the Edge of the Earth one, is that the Jacqueline actually got better as the campaign went on. Scarlet Keys, 2 physical, 2 mental trauma, and then for the Gauntlet total, we had 9 physical and 17 mental trauma between all the investigators throughout the entire campaign, which is cool. But that Carcosa one is wild to me. 7 mental trauma is pretty traumatizing. All right. This is the one that everyone was very excited and waiting for. The total Elder Signs and autofails drawn. I should just say drawn, but who cares? Throughout the whole campaign. And I keep track of these, as everyone knows. And there was a little bit of stickiness, as I call it, for the autofail throughout some of these campaigns. So, Dunwich Legacy, 14 Elder Signs, and 22 autofails. Generally, what you're hoping for is you're kind of hoping for what we see actually in some of these, like the 19-19 in Path to Carcosa, 19 Elder Signs, 19 autofails. It nice and balances out. If it skews, like, I think, like, generally what you're hoping for, and you can't, like, get it all the time, as we can see here, is kind of like, I would say, like a 3 or 4 difference between the two. I think that's when, like, it's not going to influence one way or the other. But if you get, like, 5 more Elder Signs than autofails, you're probably going to win more than you lose, because that's just how it is. If you get 5 more autofails, you're going to, like, lose for things that are out of your controls a bit more. Forgotten Age, let's talk about this, 17 Elder Signs and 36 autofails. So maybe some of the earlier losses were also tempted by the autofail, like, being a jerk and really hurting the hell out of us. That could have been a thing that happened. But it also could have been because the scenario is just hard. But, like, 17 Elder Signs to 36 autofails is pretty disgusting. Yes. Circle Undone, 9 Elder Signs, 19 autofails. But then we get back to Dream Eaters and it levels out again at 25 Elder Signs and 25 autofails. Innsmouth Conspiracy, we're finally on the other side with 29 Elder Signs and 23 autofails. Edge of the Earth was 23 Elder Signs and 22 autofails, so pretty close. Same with Scarlet Keys, 17 Elder Signs and 8 autofails. But just actually shows, like, the difference between the two of Scarlet Keys compared to the others is just a lot less time drawing tokens in Scarlet Keys because it is shorter. So when it's all said and done, throughout the entire Gauntlet, we drew 143 Elder Signs and 174 autofails. That is 31 more autofails than Elder Signs throughout the Gauntlet. And it sucked a lot of times. Drawing autofails happens, and you kind of just have to, like, you know, water on a duck's back, right? You kind of just have to like keep moving and just like make sure you're emotionally okay. Just to be like, yeah, that's what can you do, right? Sometimes auto fails really hurt when you know you've committed cards that you're like, this is the test we need to do, and it's kind of all that kind of stuff. Feast of Hemlock Vale will be on this Gauntlet. It'll be on Gauntlet 2. It's not on Gauntlet 1. It'll be on Gauntlet 2, but this Gauntlet is done. I'm not touching this Gauntlet again. And it's just like 31 more is a notable number. I think that's like a number that you can actually be like, that skewed things to be more difficult. Yeah, just I'm hoping that through my next run, the numbers are a little bit closer. I have to see as well. I don't know if any decks actually had the card that seals the Elder Sign, because that can also skew it, right? Because the Elder Sign can actually be taken out of the deck. So I'm just going to quickly check, because I do want to know. Okay, not in U2. And then I can see like how that campaign was maybe... Oh, Jacqueline was indebted. Okay. Just to see if that maybe changed things. Okay. Give me a few seconds as I'm just scrolling through and opening up these things. No, not you. Not Daryl. No, I don't think anyone had Seal the Seventh Sign. I don't think so. Mark had Through the Gates. I love Through the Gates as a weakness. Has that video with Eric come out where we talked about basic weaknesses yet? No, I don't think that's come out yet. But that's a fun video. Eric wanted to talk about all the... So look forward to that. That's going to be coming out on the channel soon. Alright, still none of that. Let's see Dexter Drake and Minty Fan. Let's grab you two as well. Nope. Not Dexter. Not Min. Min had an arm injury. Trish also had an arm injury. Hey, look at that. No. You know what? I actually don't think we had it at all in this. So, the Elder Sign never left the bag. It never left the bag. Yeah. Okay, so the Elder Sign actually never left, and we just were like, as I said, the auto fail was sticky. Alright, so to close out the video, because those are all the stats, how fun was each campaign? The most fun campaigns were probably Innsmouth. Dream Eaters, I think, was a good time, mostly because I enjoyed all the decks that I was playing. Edge of the Earth was also really fun. The least fun campaigns were probably the ones that I lost. Circle Undone also wasn't really fun because the Elder Signs were just, like, abysmal. So, Scarlet Keys I was kind of just neutral on. It was fun to play Rex again. For sure. But I was kind of just neutral on Scarlet Keys. And then, yeah, so I think my favorite one was Innsmouth because Leo Anderson Sled Dogs actually worked really well. And the two decks with Daryl and Leo were really fun together. Any favorite moments from the challenge? Why, yes, Past Justin. Thanks for asking. Some notable ones. Some notable ones. This is exactly what you're saying, Holy Helicopter. In the finale of the Innsmouth, in Into the Maelstrom, when Leo died very early on in the scenario, and Daryl had to win the game by himself. So when Leo died, and Leo died early, I was like, okay, well, that's screwed. I'm screwed. I'm going to lose Innsmouth. But then Daryl Simmons said, worry not. I'm a survivor. I can do anything you need me to do. I'm going to do it. And then Daryl Simmons actually won the campaign. Another favorite moment was when Dexter Drake killed Min with an auto fail to take control of the gate box to win the scenario. Which I thought was actually like kind of sick. And I thought for sure that, because we auto failed earlier on I was actually pretty happy with this because in the thumbnail for that video I said, "Oof, that one hurt" or something like that, and I showed the auto fail in the thumbnail with like some another piece of card art from that scenario. And in that scenario, just before the end, I auto failed the circle action on the last scenario, on the last location, right? Which, as you know, really hurts. It really hurts. So I was like, oh, this is great. People are going to watch and they're going to think this auto fail in the thumbnail is actually referencing the circle undone, the circle action, which, you know, it all fell apart. But no, it was actually referencing the auto fail that killed Min that actually allowed me to win the scenario and in and of itself the campaign. Which was really fun because, you know, the oof that hurt was Min getting crushed by the Cyclopean hammer, which was really fun. Another favorite moment of the campaign was the the Finn Edwards kill. I think it was on turn 1 in Ice and Death, where we got extra resources, Ice and Death Part 3, and we used a Delilah O'Rourke and 2 Hatchet Men. Hatchet Man, I guess Hatchet Man plural is still Hatchet Man. There's 2 Hatchet Mans there. To kill one of the ice milk sources on like the first turn. And that was really cool. That was probably one of my favorite ARKHAM moments that I've had in a long time, except for one that I just recorded with Bryn in the Events Only Challenge 2. That was also pretty sick. And I think those are my 3 favorite moments from the entire challenge that I can at least recall off the top of my head. But the question that everyone wants to know, and the last question for this video, how many times did I want to quit? And to add on to that, how many times did I quit? So I've only wanted to quit. I actually quit the Gauntlet. People might not know this if you don't follow our community tab on our YouTube channel, but I actually quit the Gauntlet. I said, this isn't fun. I'm not doing it anymore. And the Gauntlet's done. I said, I'm not. And that was during the Forgotten Age. I think I tried the Forgotten Age 3 or 4 times before the last one I came in, and I said, fuck it. I'm just going to let it happen. I just need to get through this. We need to just get it going and see what happens. The Forgotten Age also was the only campaign where I did multiple different investigator attempts with it. By that I mean I changed the investigators that I brought to the Gauntlet. I couldn't change the decks because the decks were like, I mean, I did like do minor modifications to the decks, but because I had to build with one collection, we were kind of locked in. One change would cascade into other decks, and that would be a little bit of a frustrating time. I'm pretty sure my first Forgotten Age was like Silas and Gloria, I think. And then I eventually ended up with Silas and Trish to try throughout the whole thing. And then Gloria was sent to Dream Eaters, which honestly was above her weight class. Or sorry, below her weight class. She was just manhandling Dream Eaters. But Forgotten Age was the only time that I wanted to quit. However, it's not the only time I did rage quit. I did do a rage quit and reset on Edge of the Earth. And I remember, I think I stopped the stream too. I stopped the stream and I said, no. I'm not doing this. So maybe if we really want to get correct with it, my win rate actually wasn't what it said it was. It was a bit lower. But, you know what? I don't really, care too much. I got through the Gauntlet and it was a time. And then actually, so yeah, this was 11 months ago. Let me just see. I don't have a way to share it here. But it was, notably, this wasn't the, this wasn't the actual recorded amount of autofails in Forgotten Age, but we drew 4, I think this was after scenario 2. We drew 4 Elder Signs and 17 autofails. And that's why I quit. And I'll still never forget, shout out to the commenter who said, it would help if you considered counting failed and successful tests. And then I was just like, what are you talking about? 17 auto fails is so much for 2 scenarios. But I actually quit the Gauntlet there. However, as you know, the Gauntlet did actually come back. I said it's less dead than you think it is. The Gauntlet returned, and we ended up finishing the whole thing. So I guess the question is, how hard is the Gauntlet 2 going to be? We're going to find that out coming up this week on the channel. On Tuesday, the deck building goes live, and on Wednesday, the first scenario goes live as we start Dunwich again. I like the Gauntlets. They give me structure. I don't need to think about what campaigns I'm going to play next or what decks I'm going to play next. I can just turn on the computer and play Arkham and have a great time. I hope you enjoyed this. I like stats, and I hope you also like stats. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.